Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is the Collaborators Unite podcast. Chuck Anderson here, your host, and this is the show where we serve what we call big impact experts. And that's you if you are on a mission to not only grow your business, but you want to make a big positive impact in the lives of your clients, possibly even your community or even the world. And we know from conversations that we've had that it does go beyond just making money. You want to make a difference. You know that you have something that can change people's lives for the better. You don't always feel visible. You don't always feel confident. Maybe you even think that you're destined for bigger and better things. Like, you know, you have all this stuff, but how do we get it out there? How do you confidently put yourself out there so that you are able to make this big impact? Well, today's guest is an expert at helping you with that, and we're going to do a deep dive into that conversation. So I have Faith Rumer here with me today, and Faith and I have been working together for more than a year. I love what she does. I trust her. You can learn a lot from what Faith has to say today. So Faith, welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be here, Chuck. Really great.
Yeah. It's about time, actually. I'm
Yeah.
surprised that it's taken us this long. And so usually when I meet amazing people, it's much sooner than that. But hey, sometimes the universe has other plans. So, right? It happens at the right time. I agree. And it's not always on the unhuman time. Like, there's what we wish would happen and how fast we wish things would happen, but they happen at the right time.
I believe that. I do.
Yeah.
You just don't have enough information yet to understand that is what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Well, tell everybody about you, the work that you do, who you serve, and I think we'll kind of start the conversation from there.
Okay, great. Perfect. I work with creative professionals and leaders and entrepreneurs who really, they have a mission, they have an idea, they're purpose driven, whether they're creatives or whether they're entrepreneurs, and they really do want to make a difference in the world. And often they know they're capable of more. They have these ideas and talents and dreams they haven't really fully expressed, but something's holding them back. So through mindset, presence work, I do emotional empowerment. I have a beautiful program. I work with people on that. Communication skills and creating authentic self-expression. I help them to build the confidence to stop playing small and to show up more fully in their work. So they can trust their voice and show up more fully in their work. So we align who they are with how they show up, and then they can create greater impact. They have deeper fulfillment, and then a life that feels really genuinely their own.
That sounds amazing. And what are you hearing from people when you meet them for the first time? So when you're meeting clients who haven't really become your clients yet, but they're reaching out to you, what are you hearing from them? How are they describing their challenge? Because we hear all the time about playing small or playing big or being authentic, but what are you hearing right from their mouths in terms of the struggle?
Yeah. And in the last 6 months, it's kind of changed, I think, on the last 6, 7, 8 months. I did hear a lot, and it's still going on. People are saying they're not really feeling seen and heard the way they want to be. And that's comes sometimes in their family life and their work and relationships. They're just not feeling seen and heard, which is why I wrote the book, Truly Be Seen and Heard. And then the other thing that started coming up, and these are the words people were using, I don't feel like I'm fully expressing myself. I heard it over and over again. And so now I've been putting my attention on helping people really live that fully expressed life.
So when they say that they're not fully expressing themselves, what do they really mean? Like, let's dive deeper into that, because I really love this. But how do they describe what they think they should be doing, or maybe what they're not doing?
Well, often they have designed their life to fit one, and I'm going to say this, we're going to dive right in here to one of the basic human needs. So when I worked with actors, which I've worked with a lot, I work with actors, Academy Award winning actors, people who are on major television shows and movies. And what we're always defining when I'm coaching them is what is the basic human drive that our character needs. And that's what drives our character forward into the scene or the movie or the television show, whatever's going on. So this is true about all of us because what we're doing in acting is a character study of basic human beings. And so we can get caught up in, there's all kinds of there's emotional needs, there's social needs, survival needs, all kinds of things, higher level needs, similar to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we can take a look at that. But if we get caught up in, I'm just trying to survive, then we're not really maximizing those needs that help us to really feel fulfilled as a human being. So I found that people get stuck because they're disconnected from some of the very natural human needs that can really help them to drive their business forward.
Now, how consciously aware are they that that is what's happening? Like, can they name it? Like, can they say, this is what it is, this is what's happening in there? Or is it something sort of like, I know there's more, but I don't know? Like,
Yep. That's a
where are they at?
part of it. A lot of people are saying, I know there's more, or I'm afraid to do this, or I need to do this because, this is where I'm making my living. This is where the money's coming in from, which we want to honor that, obviously, but there is more. We got to take that next step to become more of who we are. I believe that as human beings, we are here to expand and to grow. And that's what we've been doing since we were kids. Every year we grow and expand into somebody new and somebody different.
Just as we get older, a little bit less playful in some cases.
Yeah, I know, and that's
We turn it into serious business and
Yeah.
careers and all of that. And so,
Yeah, yep. And so we want to look at some of those needs that really would drive our business forward. And so that we don't get stuck in, I need to be validated. That might be a need, but that may not drive your business forward.
What are some of the mistakes that you find that they're making that either lead them away from the solution, making it worse, or maybe even lead them away from the awareness
Yeah.
of what's really happening?
Well, they get stuck in everything being perfect. They're afraid that they're going to be judged. So there's some mindset things going on. They're afraid to really trust their unique genius, like go out there and be who they are. So they're trying to fit into a mold. And that happens lots of times when we're, especially for women, when they get into corporate world and men too. They're trying to fit into a mold of what people think they should be. And then they're not uniquely being themselves. So that can stop them, that trusting that if they really follow what's in their heart, what they really want to do, that doors will open. You just have to go after it as like you would go after anything else.
Yeah, what's holding them back from the? Because so many times, I mean, and I've experienced this myself, where you get these visions or these glimpses of like, oh, it'd be super amazing to be doing this. And I remember one where I had a dream. I was watching a Tony Robbins infomercial.
Yeah.
This was in the late 90s, but I was watching him on late night TV, and I had a dream that night that there was this enormous crowd and someone was coming out on the stage, and I thought it was Tony that they were going to introduce. And then when that person was finally revealed, it was me on the stage, and I woke up in terror. Like, I'm like, because
Wow.
I was not doing the public speaking thing yet. It wasn't much longer until I was, but I was deathly afraid of public speaking.
Yeah.
And I was terrified. I'm like, no way, that's never going to be me. In hindsight, it was. I have spoken to large audiences, and it was not as scary as what the dream was. But I always felt like there was more, especially during that time. I mean, now 30 years later, I'm doing it, and there's always another level. But that's what it was for me.
Yeah, Chuck, I think you just brought up that very first basic essential need, and that's the need to be seen and heard. And that's why you were dreaming about that. I remember when I was 6 years old, and it was my birthday, and I got a beautiful pink dress for my birthday. Now, my family didn't really have a lot of money, so that was special. It was really special. I felt so magical in it. And I remembered, running down the stairs to show my mom who was in the kitchen. And I stopped at the landing. I spread my arms really wide and I went, ta-da! to show her. And she looked up at me and she said, "Honey, it's not nice to show off." So my mother was doing the best she could. But in that moment, I learned that being visible might not be safe, that shining might be selfish.
And therefore kind of bring it back in. We don't want to make others feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a consequence, if
Hmm.
we shine too bright. And many of us carry some version of that story,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I'm one as well. I was the whole modesty thing,
Mm-hmm.
religious upbringing, was all of that. And
Yeah.
so, but there is this energy that wants to get out.
Absolutely. We've learned somewhere along the way that it doesn't feel safe, to be visible. But deep inside, we still carry that very natural and powerful human need to be seen and heard. Now, here's the deal. The need to be seen and heard is not because we need attention. It's because we need connection, right? So I was trying to connect with my mom. Even a little kid is like saying to their parents, look at me, look like I'm doing this trick, right? They really are trying to connect with their parents.
Mhm.
So,
And is it the acknowledgement that they're looking for?
well, it can be, we and what we want to do to be seen and heard is like kind of look at what is behind that. If we are going to put our attention on connecting with people when we're putting out there ourselves out there, like in this podcast right now, my goal is to connect with your audience, to connect with you, to connect with people who might see this later on, and help them to be able to maybe open up a little bit, maybe to have a new idea about themselves.
And is it, what's the transformation journey like? So I think we can all relate, and I think my audience certainly can to relate to this. There's something inside of me. I want more people to see it, or maybe they're even beyond that. They have their coaching program or whatever it is, and they're really not able to attract more than single digit people to what they're doing, but they know they're destined for more, and they know that their program is capable of so much more. Where do they start? Like, is it a slow, gradual transformation, or are there some things they can do to start? Some people call it like flipping a light switch. So, what's that transformation journey look like, and where does it start?
Well, I think that there's a couple of different more needs that we can explore. We looked at that
Hmm.
big need of to be seen and to be heard. And one of the other needs is to be creative. So studies have shown, and this is really interesting, that creative activities stimulate our prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that, right? But that's the part of the brain that's responsible for decision making, problem solving, and planning. So we're wired to be creative.
And when we're not creative or we don't feel creative, what's the opposite of that, or what's the
Oh,
the
well,
effect?
what's
Yeah.
the effect? Yeah, we start to feel flat.
Hmm.
We can be successful and still feel disconnected from ourselves. Sometimes it's about you've been doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it's time to grow. Just like we were talking about when, as we grow up as a teenager, you have certain things the way you want to express yourself, and then you get in your 20s and it's a different way, 30s, 40s, every decade it seems we are in a new way of expressing ourselves. And what felt right for us, even in our coaching or in our businesses a couple of years ago, we might need to expand that, start to be a little more creative.
I love that. And is there other needs as well that I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about that need to be seen and heard, and that need to be creative. What else are we craving?
Well, here's a need, and this is everybody's going to understand this, to share our ideas. There's a need
Hmm.
for that. How many brilliant ideas never get shared because people are waiting to get ready?
Or judgment, self-judgment as
Oh
well, I
yeah,
would say. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh,
part
that's
of
a
it.
dumb idea. No one will ever do that, right?
Yeah,
And so,
we have a tendency to denigrate our ideas. But sharing our ideas, right, is essential to who we are. Again, it helps us to feel more connected to others. And when we don't share it, what happens? We have these feeling. Here's the emotional consequences of not sharing our ideas. And I think people can relate to this: frustration, stagnation, right? Regret. Oh, I wish I'd written that book. Even low self-esteem.
we hear that all the time from people, all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. Those are those hallmarks that you're like, there's something that that you need to share when you're feeling frustrated. Yeah. Frustration is connected to our needs and our desires, who we are and what personally you want and what personally I want, which, we are wired in a way to have our unique perspective on what we want in the world.
Yeah, once heard frustration described as the gap between our reality and that ideal of where we think we should be, right?
Yeah, that could be. Right,
Hmm.
right. It's a real feeling in our body when we feel frustrated. I call emotions, I'm going down the emotional road
Hmm.
here, but emotions are actually, is actually energy in motion. So we feel this sort of energy in our body, and it could be fear, or could be anxiety, but it could also be frustration, could be anger. And we want to pay attention to those. So the need to share our ideas, it's like it's not just for us. We're meant to share our ideas with the world so we can have a positive impact on others.
What I hear from people often, and I'd love to get you to weigh in on this,
Yeah.
is okay, you have the idea. And I was one of these. I mean, I've learned to get over it. And it's been quite a 30-year journey of that. But initially it was not easy. And it's hard to remember everything that happened, but you have an idea. But again, there's that self-judgment. We mentioned that already. It's like, is this idea really good enough? Or what would happen if people don't like it? What happens if people really like it? Because I
Yeah.
think there's that fear of putting it out there and being judged negatively.
Oh,
But
sure.
there's also a fear of like being, growing too quick, too fast. So
Um,
right? And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on both sides of that.
that is so good. You just brought me into the next need.
Oh,
Okay. That's
perfect.
great. It's like you're reading my mind.
It's universal guidance. I am
Mhm.
not here right now. I'm just
You channel.
I'm
Channeling.
channeling the next question. There we go.
So the next need, I mean, and they aren't really hierarchical. You could do them. They're all different, you can explore them, but it is to explore our gifts and talents. So if
Mm-hmm.
we feel like we're going too fast, maybe we need to slow down and explore those talents and gifts a little bit, because this is where our humanity comes in. It's our unique perspective, right? Because we're in now with AI, right? AI can write content, summarize books, generate ideas. But what it can't replicate is our lived experience, our purpose, our heart, our story, and what I call our presence. So, as we discover, here's the deal, new strengths and passions and interests, that can lead us down like exciting new paths.
And a lot of people want clarity. Like they want to, and again, I mean, meditation is a tool that's
Yeah,
very common in the industries we work in. And it seems like there's this desire to be able to see the entire journey in all its infinite detail and a guaranteed destination at the end. And in the absence of seeing that,
yeah,
I'm not going to follow this path yet.
yeah. Which is why people will go down traditional paths because there is a clear direction of where they're going to end up, become a lawyer, but even that is not guaranteed.
Mhm.
People go down those paths all the time and find it's not what they wanted, or they find something new.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, there are a lot of ways that we can start to explore these things. I mean, first of all, I would say pay attention to what lights you up a little bit. For me, when I was a kid, music and acting and the arts really lit me up, so I went down that path, and I'm still down that path. I still work as a singer and release music and write music and share my music when I'm doing my keynote talks.
Mhm. You lit up when you started
Yes.
describing it too.
Yeah, you see, there it is.
It's funny as you say that. I remember as a kid, my grandfather got this, cassette player that you could record on. And it was so new. I mean, this was in the 80s. It was so new. I mean, to record yourself was a big deal. And it had this little mini microphone. And my cousin and I did a radio show where we interviewed each other. And here we are. I'm like almost 300 people interviewed now on
Isn't that
various podcasts that I'm involved in. And so here I am doing that very thing that I did when I was a kid.
I
Right.
love
And
that.
so,
So there we go. If not sure about what it is. I mean, we could feel
Mhm.
that lighting up, but I always say start with curiosity.
Mhm.
Curiosity can open a door, but we want to leave any judgment at the door,
Right. And
right?
how do they deal with that uncertainty? Because I see this all the time with people being held back by they can't see the whole roadmap. So and this that's uncertainty, and so
Well,
it stops them from moving forward.
here's a great example. I always love metaphors and examples, but it just caught my mind. When you get married to somebody, you don't know what's going to happen in 20 years.
Hmm.
You have no clue, basically. You kind of have an idea. You don't know how many kids you're going to have. You don't know if you're going to have kids. You don't know if somebody's going to get ill or someone's going to make a lot of money. You just don't have any idea. But you make that huge commitment to getting married to someone, regardless if you can see the end. Why?
Mm.
Because you're lit up by it, right? The possibility is bigger than the fear of the future could be.
That is a great way to describe it. I've never heard it said that way before, and that completely makes sense. So
Mm.
it's not like we're incapable of dealing with the uncertainty because we are doing that in other areas of our lives that we're not even recognizing.
Yeah. Yeah. And curiosity, like in your business, keep going, working on curiosity. A good example is when I'm writing a song, I could ask myself, and I get stuck with a word or a phrase. I don't know how to finish it or it feels stale or whatever. I could ask myself, gee, I wonder how many rhymes I can come up with for this word. Then I go down that path. And then it kind of takes me away from that doubt and uncertainty that I can finish this song.
I just had an interesting visual while you were describing that, but no, I love that. And then again, that's a tool that you can use to get out of that. I don't have any ideas to, oh, now I'm working on an idea, right?
Mhm.
And so I want to get to eventually that. I know you have an amazing free gift that would help our audience with. And then if you're resonating with what we're talking about, you definitely want to hang around and get that. I want to make sure that we do talk about next steps a little bit. And so kind of bringing all of this together. And I think we've been saying, like, here's the challenge, but here's what you do instead. But where do people start? What are the next steps that someone should take if they really resonate with what we're talking about here today?
I would say, first of all, acknowledge that there's fear and uncertainty and doubt. It's like it's
Hmm.
so human. It's just part of every new experience that we all go through. First of all, acknowledge that. It doesn't make you weird. It doesn't make you different. It doesn't make you less than. It doesn't make you incapable. It's exactly where you are because you're a human being. And
Mm.
then we want to get curious about what could be the next step, then take that step and do it messy. Working with you, I'm always being compelled forward to take that next step, and it's great. I'm loving it. But it's also, I think, then having some faith and, not just hope, but some faith that as you are expressing yourself and going out there and starting with an open mind, that things will be revealed to you. I think open mind.
Yeah, faith and trust in that you're not going to see the entire path,
Yeah.
but at least the next step will be revealed once you take a
Right.
step towards.
And then the other thing is too is to start to develop the skills that you need to drive your business forward, whatever that is. We now need to be very visible in the world. So I teach a lot of communication skills and voice and presence skills as well. And those are really important today. We don't want to be over polished, but we want to have, oh gosh, here's the thing I think is really important, to step into our authority. And that just came to me the other day for myself. I was like, really step into your authority. And what does that really mean for me? And then the last thing, and you start with this and you end with this, is willingness.
Right. Willing to take that next step forward, willing to put yourself out there.
Willing to have everything like
Mm.
to fall apart in a moment, right?
Right. Absolutely. And man, it sucks when it does, but so many of the good things that have happened to me have come from moments that weren't all that fun.
Well, even like launching something, you have all your tech kind of get crazy, right? It's a
Oh, it
learning
happens. So
experience.
we need to all like get over it and accept it.
Got to get over and accept it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And surround yourself with good support, right? And so being connected with
Absolutely.
you, being connected with me, or really anyone who
Yeah.
can be there for you in those moments, right? And so,
Mentors, coaches.
mm,
I've really stepped above just coaching people. Now I'm mentoring people because it means that you have someone on your side there. I'm not just going to teach you something, but we're
yeah.
going to walk it together and then, and find out what's really happening. What is the next step? I don't want to give people a cookie cutter way of living a fully expressed life because everybody has a different way of what that looks like.
I'd go a step further and advise people, you can do what you want, but be very cautious of cookie cutters,
Oh,
right?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's very convenient marketing. It's very convenient promise. And we will, I think, both tell you, I won't speak for you, but for me, I will say it's not that clean. But when you take the right steps, there's always a solution. And when you have the right
Mm.
guidance and you have the right support around you, you
Yeah.
can handle anything.
That doesn't mean you don't have a framework that you're working with.
Oh, of course.
You need that, but it's got to be flexible. I've been in programs where it was, I've been put into what I call a box, and it did not feel good. It wasn't
Mhm.
where I wanted to be.
Well, an airplane takes off from one city and lands in the other city, and it always gets to its destination. But the wind is constantly blowing it off course. But it still gets there. Why? Because it has a framework, it has a system, and it's navigating, and it has support from air traffic control and the airport and their home office, and as a team they all get to their destination every time.
Yeah, right. I mean, think about going to the moon.
Right?
What?
That's it's not as that's and we could do a whole episode on it's not a solo project, right? My message is winning in business is a team sport. So learn to play well with others,
Oh,
right?
great. I love that. I love
Yeah. Let's talk about your free gift, and then we're almost out of time for this episode. So let's tell everybody about your free gift. I would really love for them to connect with you and learn more from you.
Oh, I would love that too. So it is the 7 essential needs that will drive your business forward. And it's really about, helping you to be fully seen and heard as yourself. It is I don't know, I think it's, about 8 or 9 pages. It's because we go through each of the needs. But in there, we talk about the need. I talk about the need, but I also give you some real steps to take to start to activate that need. Because that's the idea. We're not just going to think about it or learn about it, but how can we activate that need in our life?
Yeah, it sounds like if you want that guidance of like what are the steps that you need to take, go get Faith's free gift. And I have conveniently put the link to it right beneath this video. So there's super easy.
Yeah.
Like Faith said, it's short, so there's time should not be an issue. Go get that right now. And if you're listening to this on podcast, just open up your phone and it's right there in the show notes, right on the whatever app you're using to listen to this episode. That's a great gift, and I think a great next step for everybody to do, right? And so,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll open up all kinds of possibilities. That's what if we could leave with anything, I think is that life is full of possibilities. And we
Yeah, and that in fact, let's do that, because I always like to end on what I call words of wisdom or advice. So, what is your words of wisdom or final advice for
Yeah,
our audience?
thank you. So life is full of possibilities. So
Yeah,
what we want to do is to stop the habit of holding ourselves back. It's a habit. And then allow the gifts, your voice, your purpose that are already inside you to come forward.
yeah. Allow it. Allow
Mhm.
it to come forward. I love that. And those are beautiful words to end this episode by. And Faith, thank you. And
Yeah.
it will definitely not be that long until the next time for sure. And this is really good timing. And I can't wait to have you back on other shows and some of our events that we do throughout the year. And you can come and share your amazingness with them and inspire people to allow the gifts inside of them to come out and be more visible.
Thank you, Chuck. It's been always a privilege and a pleasure to be here with you.
I love it. Thank you, Faith. And to our audience, I want to tell you that if you're still listening to my voice, you are here for a reason. This resonated with you. And I want you to know that the big impact that you want to make, and sometimes that just means you want to make some money, but beyond the money, once you have the money, it's going to go beyond that. I want you to know that it's possible, that more is possible, that the obstacles that you are experiencing can be overcome. You just might be one collaboration away from the solution and the breakthrough that you want. And perhaps Faith is that person to collaborate with and to learn from and to even be mentored by. And so I want you to take that next step and get her free guide and explore how Faith can help you. And again, remember that your journey is worth it. The gifts that you have are worth it. The only way to fail is to quit. So keep moving forward, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you.